Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mast, and today we're getting back to something that we haven't done in a very long time. We're actually looking at the patch notes. Today's patch has been very hyped up. I don't really know much about it. I've read a little tiny bit to see if it actually is hype. It seems like it is going to be hype. So I thought we'd actually do a patch notes for once in first time in like a year, I think, if not even more. It's been a really long time since we did it. I will use face cam for those of you guys who beg for it on stream. I'll use face cam. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit croaky. It's still early here and whatnot, but I think we're gonna go through everything in this patch. Normally, I just kind of skip through all the skins and stuff. I will like barely touch on them just in case I miss anything. We're not really for skins, but for other stuff. But yeah, it's supposed to be a really hype update. I figured we'd actually talk about it, and we might end up talking about some of the other recent updates along with that, and kind of the direction Smite's going at the moment, because they're making some big changes. By the way, sorry if the lighting on the face cam is weird. I have big window that is like, you guys can kind of see there's like this, it's actually a blackout curtain, but there's a really high window up above that is not blacked out, and it might mess with the lighting and stuff. So if you care, sorry, but it's out of my control. So there's a big Slipknot, what do you call it? Not collusion, that's a bad thing. I don't know. What is it, man? Whatever. They are working with Slipknot to make some skins. There is a stupid amount. I did not expect a stupid amount. I actually listen to Slipknot a little bit, but I'm not gonna lie, I don't really care. But I will say, if you guys like edgy shit, this is these are some pretty cool skins, man. This isn't a battle pass, if I remember right. It's a Slipknot event, which is going to come with a bunch of other stuff. So I think it's going to be significantly more hype than all the battle passes that have come out recently. And even if you like those, it's going to come out with a lot more stuff. So there's all these. I'm not going to go over all these. We will barely look at them. And if you guys want to look at the patch notes for yourself, there will be a link in the description of the video so that you guys can come and look at these too. There's also some other skins as well. This one looks a little bit sick to me, the Dark Apprentice Apollo. Kind of gives me, I shouldn't say it, it's a competitor. It kind of gives me Arcane vibes, man. It kind of looks like somebody straight out of Arcane. Bonus balance skins. I didn't know about this. Oh, we got another happy little painter, huh? Update release schedule, May 17th, Slipknot update, May 31st, 9.5, a bonus update. Oh, baby. June 2nd, happy little painter. Okay, this is a skin. I don't really care about the skin thing. Smite Adventures, Smite Night. I barely read into this, and this is what inspired me to actually do the patch notes video. Because, oh my God, Hi-Rez is doing things, boys. Hi-Rez is getting a little crazy. So what it says, the first adventure of the year is Smite Night featuring classic Conquest, which we'll get into in a second. But I'm pretty excited about it. I have a friend that is going to absolutely nut when he reads this later on today, whenever he gets on Discord. But yeah, Smite Night. It's a new one-day only game mode that opens up once a week, so one day out of the week. Get your friends together to play Smite on a special night to earn bonus rewards. I don't give a shit about those. Play new modes or interesting twists on current modes. Will occur on Saturdays and last for 24 hours, and it will feature a different mode each week. So basically, most active day of the week for most people. The weekend, I should say, was Saturday. Gonna be a pretty hype day. The player base is probably gonna spike really hard, at least whenever this day is really cool, which I think is really smart by Hi-Rez, trying to get people back interested in the game and mixing things up. Because it's kind of too bad that Adventures went. I was not big on Adventures. The one that I actually played much of was the 3v3v3 mode, if you guys have played long enough to remember that. But I wasn't against it. I thought they were really cool. They just weren't really my thing. So I'm glad that they're actually trying to mix things up and bring them back finally, because I think there's been a lot of people that have wanted that. Players will get quests, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about quests, man. Quest. I don't care about this leaderboard. I don't care about a leaderboard. Limited tab. I don't care about a limited tab. Classic Conquest. Oh, baby. Let me tell you guys about Classic Conquest. I'm just kidding. We don't have to, because they're going to say it themselves. Basically, I think this is going to be either the season. It's going to be a form of the season 0 map for Smite. See, I don't remember what the season was actually called. Basically, it was the beta map for Smite. This map got changed a lot, so I think the variation it's going to have is a little different than what I'll remember. But I could be wrong here. But yeah, all the way in 2012, I have been playing Smite too long. I have played this map. Yeah, it says we aim to preserve as much as possible the rules and pacing as the original map. Late game golden experience gain tends to be much slower than modern maps. All the original environment art and most of the original character art will be displayed in all its 2012 glory. So I don't know exactly how that's going to work with the character art. I don't know if they mean actual gods. Because like Kali back then looked very different. Kali looked scuffed as hell. Vamana looked scuffed as hell. Ao Kuang, I don't remember if Ao Kuang looked bad, but he looked different. And Ao Kuang was Kukulkan back then. So there's a lot of stuff like that. I don't know if they mean that or not, or if they just mean minions and other different like characters in the game, like jungle bosses and stuff like that. Fire Giant has a different set of attacks. It'll be interesting. I do not remember the scaling on these in comparison, but spoilers, the pool attacks on Fire Giant are not shit compared to the old pool attack on Fire Giant. So some of you guys will get to see that. Fire Giant is also a big ass pit that you're forced into. It's like very enclosed. You can actually see it down here, this little red part. Yeah, this is where you actually get into the Fire Giant. All this black part is parts where you can't get into the Fire Giant. So yeah, doing Fire Giant a little spookier when there's actually people alive on the other team. Bunch of different jungle. I'm not going to go into all these, man. We're just going to look at the map. We'll look at the buffs too in case you guys don't know about it, but we're mostly going to look at the map because that's what actually matters. But all jungle buffs spawn at 10 seconds in the game. Players can have multiple jungle buffs, so they are bringing that back. I did not realize they are bringing that back. That's actually super hype, man. Way back in, well, back in these old days, back literally a decade ago, you could pick up every single buff. And normally, if anybody did jungle, this was before there were jungle items in the game to properly jungle. I think maybe they'd added Bumbas by now. I don't remember. I don't remember when they added Bumbas. Maybe Bumbas was already added by this point because this is like a late season 0, just before season 1. But yeah, jungling either was not a thing or had just become a thing. And yeah, you could just like anybody that decided to jungle generally just took all the buffs, and that was just kind of accepted for the most part. So yeah, green buff provides 50 HP 5. That's just a health pot. If you get green buff, you just get a health pot. That's pretty good, like a constant health pot. Red buff provides 5 physical power, 10 magic power, plus 20% magic and physical power. And this was the reason it is put this way, by the way, is back then, you could build both stats, which it would be absolutely hilarious if they did that to the item shop, because you could build both stats, but it did either nothing or almost nothing, depending on the character you're on. I don't quite remember how that worked. Yeah, basically, if you're a dummy, you could misbuild absurdly hard back then. If they want to add that back to the item shop, I think that'd be cool. Just to weed out the nerds, or not the nerds a little bit, weed out the noobs a little bit. Just punish them absurdly hard for no good reason. Yeah, this buff is going to be nutty, because buffs in general were nutty back then. Yellow buff, a buff that no longer exists over here in this little outer jungle, which, by the way, bring back the outer jungle in real Conquest, boys, instead of the scuffed-ass outer jungle that we currently have. That's like, hey, we put a little thing to the side of dual lane that nobody cares about 99% of the time. This was really cool. I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing this on Saturday night, whenever we get the chance to finally play this map. But yeah, 35 of each prot. So like, you guys know how Spirit Robe's a good item? You can get a buff that gives you almost Spirit Robe. So this is pretty strong. Orange buff, aka speed, provides 20% movement speed. And the green and yellow buffs right here are on the outer jungle. The red buff is in the center of the outer jungle. Speed is kind of similar to where it would currently be. It's a little farther up, but where it's tended to be a little bit more accurate. Blue buff, gonna basically do blue buff things. Does not provide cooldown because that's on a different buff that used to exist. But blue buff in a similar spot to where it currently is. And then gray buff is, I believe right here. Yeah? It's weird. I feel like they're using the mid-camp icon for the gray buff, but this is where it historically was, and that's what it looks like they're saying. Oh, yeah, literally. Looks like an XP camp icon. There are no XP camps on this map. Yep, that's what it is. And then this is what the map sort of looks like. They have any more pictures, man? Because this is not... Okay. Well, it looks spookier. There's a lot of jungle fog. The jungle paths look more... Actually, this looks very much like a clean shrubbery type vibe, but I swear it looks spookier, boys, okay? Looks very old. Looks like it's fresh out of the 2000s and not well into the 2000s. Yeah, got some very old vibes to it. Some reward stuff. Week 1, Classic Conquest. Week 2, All Out Slash. Duplicate Gods Allowed. Oh, God. Infinite Mana. I'm not playing this. Week 3, Classic Conquest. Oh, baby. Week 4, 5v5 at Season 9 Conquest. They should maybe change this, because this is not... I don't understand why they would... Big hype, boys. You guys want to only 5-man queue? You guys want to only 5-man queue on Saturdays? Oh, it'll be so fun. What a mix-up to the mode. You need a 5-man, and that's the only thing... I don't know why they added this. I'm kind of disappointed in that one. Slipknot is... Wait, Slipknot is in Smite. I don't care about all this stuff. I don't care about all this stuff. Yeah, if you guys care about skin stuff, you can just go read it. If I miss anything, I'm sorry, but I think all the stuff I'm missing is skin stuff. Quality of life updates. So this is basically they are fixing the UI stuff, if I'm reading this right, so that, yeah, this requires players to click additional times. They're making it so that you don't have to click additional times. So with glyphs and with relics, you should just be able to click the thing and buy the thing, and it should be a lot better that way. So a little bit more convenient to play the game. That's nice. Okay, I don't think I have any issue with this. UI stuff, probably fine. UI is mostly good. Fixed Nausea. You guys excited to actually play Nausea again, even though he's cheeks anyways? I'm not gonna lie, I feel like some people probably got hard carried by the fact that they stopped playing Nausea due to this bug where Nausea lagged really hard. Because Nausea is pretty bad ever since the crit nerf, man. Pretty rough. Some sort of chaotic beads fix would proc on enemies without activating the relic. What? Okay. Fix already live. Okay. I didn't know about that. All right. Conquest updates. Probably going to be some big changes here. The first Conquest update of Season 9 is bringing a lot of detailed changes. When updating our maps, we want to give players as much specific info as possible, but that also can make it difficult to read through the notes and comprehend the main concepts. In this section, we can summarize some of the goals and expected effects you can expect from the 9.5 Night's Keep Conquest map. Alright, this might be a little weird, but it's me, from the future. And we're going to talk about stuff that I didn't get to know during the actual patch notes. I think there's another point in the patch notes that I'm going to have to do this for, that I'm going to have to edit this in for. Basically, Obelisk and map got changed significantly, sort of in terms of lore/theme. And so we can check out from the actual Smite game patch notes, map looks a little different when there's a big-ass castle in at least part of it. So, yeah. This is the whole Night's Keep, whatever they call the new map. There's going to be some kind of lore changes. It feels a little more castle-y, a little more Arthurian, or whatever you call the whole like Arthur Merlin side of Smite. I can't remember the actual name for it. And they added some new fruit that we no longer get to call fruit, but we might get to call fruit juice, which they just skipped past, but but we'll get some views of in a second. You guys can see on this new map, we have new chalices. So these are the new offering system, unless I am absolutely losing it and just unaware of how it works now. Because even looking at the way they did it, I don't know if I missed it or something, but it seems like basically buffs do not get upgraded now, I believe. And instead we have these little knights, which you one-shot when you walk into that little invis radius. It is an invisible radius. You walk on in, you tap them, you get not fruit, but wine, which is in a chalice. And then you can use that as the offerings for the new obelisk, which drops a new buff, which is a pretty big deal. So there's going to be some now PvP probably around these. There's some invis shrouds that have value in terms of collecting those. And whoever drops it is the only team that can take it, not that it matters all that much. So you basically get a walk on in, you tap a little knight dude with 10 HP, and then you drop a little offering for yourself that you can use to actually capture the obelisk and use this new buff. Boom. Chalice, pick it up, Merlin. Pick it up. He doesn't want to pick it up. And that's basically all there is to it. So next we'll look at the new sort of objective for the obelisk. And other than that, that's the only thing that we really need visuals for to properly understand in the patch. And I can cut out myself looking like a dumbass trying to understand what it means from just reading the patch. So that's cool. You get like a juggernaut, it's going to make a lot more sense when I look at the patch notes and put that in. Okay, I'm just going to talk about it. I'm assuming it'll make sense when I actually look at their demonstration of it and stuff. The first time a friendly god walks within its 30-foot radius, it will spawn 2 escort minions and push the lane. So yeah, it's basically like a siege juggernaut type thing. The trebuchet will continue the push as long as an ally minion or god is within its radius. If an enemy enters its radius, it will stop attacking until that enemy is killed or leaves. So very similar to a siege juggernaut. Trebuchets launch flaming boulders at enemy structures and minions from long range outside of the tower aggro radius. Flaming boulder, 100-foot maximum range, that's a little nutty. 30-foot minimum range, okay. Each time the trebuchet launches a projectile, it consumes 5% of its own HP. So basically it breaks like a real trebuchet would, but probably a lot slower than a real trebuchet would. I'm not sure. I don't need the trebuchet nerds correcting me. It's okay. I can be wrong. Base stats, 1700 health, 50 phys prot, 10 magic prot. Somebody just kind of clap this thing. 300 physical power? Why? 300 physical power, huh? Okay. Okay. That's a little bit. My God. Base stat scaling stacks every 3 minutes of the game at plus 300 health. So if you fight this thing at 30 minutes into the game, it's going to have 4,700 base health instead of just a normal 1,700 like original base health. So it actually does scale real hard, but it doesn't have that many prots, so it's still like pretty easy to kill. All right, and the next up is the new buff that the obelisk drops, which is not a buff that you will actually grab for yourself, but it is a buff that you will have for your team. And it's not a buff. I shouldn't call it a buff. It's a new objective / structure type thing. Basically a new siege juggernaut, but different than other siege juggernauts. This, I don't think I have to cut myself out for this. I might just kind of override myself from the future. But it's a trebuchet, and the trebuchet has some ranged attacks, which are pretty cool. So we'll be able to skip ahead in a second and get a look at those. But basically, when you win the obelisk, when you out-farm the obelisk from getting those offerings, this is the advantage that your team gets. It is pushed by a couple of fire minions. I believe, from what I could tell, and it's been a minute since I looked at the patch notes, I believe these fire minions will push on their own. However, I think you can kill them. I don't know why you couldn't. I could be wrong. Like, they each have their own health bars and everything. I'm pretty sure when I read it in the patch, it looked like you could kill them. I think if you kill them before, which I don't know how often this would happen, but if you kill them without killing the trebuchet, because naturally they're going to have a lower health pool. So from the enemy team, I believe it doesn't push, and it needs a god to push it themselves. But the god doesn't need to be there as long as the fire minions are there to push it. So it's going to go down the lane. We can skip a little bit now. we can skip a little bit now. Hang on. It's going to go down the lane, and it will shoot from out of the tower range to kill this objective. So this is something that's insane for split push potential and for coordinated push potential in terms of just getting tower damage, because it doesn't have to tank the tower. It does kill itself from just firing. It loses 5% HP per shot, but it's really big damage. I'm actually trying to think, like, I think 8 shots kill a tower? Maybe 9? I think it's 8 shots kill a tower. I guess later in the game, maybe it's more. Really big damage, does not take that long to kill one. However, you can kill it from the enemy team, and it will be important to kill it from the enemy team if you do not want to just casually lose towers to some dumbass PvE little trebuchet thing, right? So it's actually going to be something to be aware of. Very big change from Indra's Scepter. I'm looking forward to see the impact. I am not looking forward to see it take a tier 1 and a tier 2 tower on its own. That might not be the best time, and yeah. All right, jungle changes. I'm very curious and a little scared to see what they're going to do here, but I'm hoping it is good. We also made a series of intense balance changes to this Conquest map with the primary goals of reducing snowball effects and creating noticeable changes to gameplay in multiple phases and roles. Overall, total XP and gold gain rates have not changed significantly, but have been shifted around in many ways. Lane minions and jungle camps are going to be noticeably more tanky. Ooh, I do like this. This will encourage more fighting in waves and will give junglers a larger advantage when killing camps due to starter item selection. One thing that needs to be accounted for is Eye of the Jungle is nutty on every role. Mannequins and Bumbas tend to suck on every role that is not jungle. Mannequins are weird. Mage ADCs are good with it. Other than that, it tends to suck. It tends to suck even on junglers, so I shouldn't even bring it up maybe. It's an item that's not great at clearing camps to begin with for the most part, but Eye of the Jungle is getting bought in mid a decent amount. I'm hoping they make some sort of changes to make it less bought in mid, because if they're making camps tankier, Eye of the Jungle just got even stronger. Because it just means it's that much harder to kill a camp without a jungle item, so going Eye of the Jungle makes sense. So, just saying, that's a thing. But yeah, more fighting. For one thing, more chance to contest a camp is cool. That's something that used to be a bigger deal in Smite. And then also, just taking longer per camp is good. That makes camps more valuable on their own. And then naturally, if it takes longer to do the camp, then I'm going to assume that there's overall more XP per camp. And then it's going to be something where it's not like, hey, I'm the mid laner. I go walk over for 5 seconds to this camp and kill it in like 3 seconds and walk back to mid and I catch my wave. There's going to be less of that, which is good. So it's more somebody that's actually truly in the jungle and not doing waves can focus on doing camps properly, which should be good. Initial spawn, delayed back heartbeat initial spawn from 15 to 30. Okay. All buff camps now spawn at 10. All buff camps now spawn at 10. All right. So that's going to just be a ton of different jungle paths. That'll be interesting. All buff camps now spawn 3 minis on the initial spawn with the center monster dropping the buff. Okay. Okay. This kind of seems like they're making all the camps more similar to one another when they do this, so I'm a little confused on that. I guess maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe I'm mostly thinking a blue is gonna, I don't know. I feel like this is a little bit weird in terms of just like keeping camps unique in terms of just like design and stuff. The center mini plus 10 base XP, except mana camp. Okay, so maybe it's different there. Plus 200 base health. This is to ensure quick clear speed for all rolls that they're starting camps with the camp reward modified to allow all rolls to hit level 2 at the end of the first wave. Okay. After this first rotation, the camp will spawn a stronger buff holder for the rest of the match. All right. Yeah, I could use some visuals for this, but but you guys will probably get the visuals that I don't currently have. After this first rotation, oh, I already read that. All right. Respawn timers. Mid lane center XP camps delayed respawn time from 120 to 150 seconds, so from 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes. The harpies are now blue. Oh my god. They're nerfing the colorblind people, boys. It's not okay. Dual lane center XP camp side jungle. Oh, duo lane. That makes more. I read this as mid lane. That makes more sense. I was trying to figure out what the hell this was. Delayed respawn time from 120 to 150, so same exact thing. These harpies are now gold. Okay. Same thing with, wait, dual lane side XP camps behind Gold Fury. Okay, so they moved these, they turned these into Nagas, and they made it 2 to 3, so these are way longer cooldown now. Which is cool, because I feel like they should have more of the Nagas actually involved in the game, so that's probably cool. And then solo side XP camps did the same thing, like literally exact same thing. Back Harpy XP camp has been removed. Okay. Support buff camp been consolidated into the removed Back Harpy XP camp. Now spawns 1 support buff Elder Harpy, 2 support buff Harpies, and they've been recolored to green. Okay. Respawn time 120. So normal buff timer for these. Basically, they've been, like, generally speaking, a camp just has a 2-minute cooldown, so they're changing that for a lot of the neutral farm. But then the green buff is still going to have the 2-minute, and the other camps are still going to have the 2 minutes, is what it's looking like to me. Lane minion changes. Oh, I didn't process they were also buffing wave. This is actually a massive change to the game right here. That's crazy. Swordsman increased base health from 420 to 650. So they are giving swordsmen basically 50% more HP. And if you guys know Smite, which you probably do because you're watching this video and you watch this channel, that's a massive change to how clear works in the game. Because basically, the goal in Smite is hit level 7 to level 9, depending on your character, have a wave clear ability, use the wave clear ability, wave is either literally entirely dead, or the front minions are a little bit alive and you finish them off. And so now they're making the front minions way tankier than the archers. Archers can still get one shot pretty easily by stuff like Uller 3, Persephone 2, all those little circle abilities that specifically are going to hit those 3 minions, but not the entire wave particularly. They're still going to get deleted, but the base health from the front creeps are going to make them twice as tanky, and they're going to significantly slow down the clear, which will be an interesting impact on the game. I feel like it'll actually be a little bit annoying, but I think on average, it'll also help balance out some of the clear where some gods have ridiculous line ability clear, which is great for just deleting wave and dipping, whereas other gods have really good small, I don't know what to call it, but little zone clear, which is good for getting either front minions or archers. And now that's going to be a little bit more rewarded because they can actually delete the front minions harder with that. So that'll be an interesting change. We'll have to see how that goes. Added a little bit of Fizz Prot and a little bit of Magical Prot and decreased attack speed a little bit so they'll do a little bit less damage. Added a tiny bit of Prot to archers, decreased scaling damage versus structures from 80% to 60%, and a tiny bit of Prot again. Fiery Swordsman increased base health from 630 to 780, so that's only like a 20% boost, and then decreased attack speed like the others. Red Camp increased base health from 450 to 850, so basically twice as tanky. It's also worth keeping in mind the scaling is not going to seem as strong on these two because they're basically buffing their base health. So early game, it's going to take way longer to farm everything. And as you get later in the game, it'll be kind of compensated because even if the scaling is the same, because they're basically so much tankier in the beginning, the scaling realistically is weaker overall. It stands out less because it's the same numbers, but it's the same numbers from a higher base number. So that'll be one thing to keep in mind too. But yeah, big change to red buff here. That's actually crazy. Little bit of prot change. That's not a big deal. These prots, like it technically doubled the prot. This technically 8 times the prot. These numbers don't matter that much. It's pretty small amount of mitigation from protections there. Increased power from 15 to 24. So it's going to slap a little bit. That actually does matter a lot. Scaling, decreased XP reward per stack from 12 to 9 per stack. Oh, okay. This is a weird way of saying it. All right. Plus 12 to 9, decreased health per stack from plus 205 to 195. That barely matters. Increased Fizz power per stack from 4 to 6. So it scales hard in damage. Red buff is really going to clap. It's going to be very tanky. Yeah, red buff kind of looks like a pain in the ass right now. I'm not going to lie. Decreased base health of the guards from 105 to 80. Okay. So red buff guards are now cheeks, or at least stay cheeks. But red buff itself gets absurdly strong, which is kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. That's actually kind of cool. Decreased Fizz Prot, increased physical power. So they're going to do a lot of damage, but you'll kill them absurdly fast. One thing that's standing out right now, and I could be wrong on it, going back to something that we were just looking at the way that front creeps are a lot stronger now in lane. I think Golden Blade in lane, like in solo lane, is looking way better now. And if they don't do something to change it, we actually might see an assassin, maybe not an assassin solo meta, but a chance for assassin solos to be really strong in casuals and ranked, or anybody that is good with Golden Blade, so maybe more aggressive warriors. That will be interesting to see for fun. It won't be good for balance, but if it's like, this kind of seems like Golden Blade going to be OP, because normally warriors, guardians have terrible clear for the solo lane, so getting some sort of Golden Blade type thing to deal with the front creeps being so much tankier is actually a really big deal. So we'll have to see with that. Oh god, I scrolled too far. Okay, I think we were done with the red guards, right? Yeah, basically getting less XP, but taking way longer. Which I'm kind of scared to see, like, am I missing anything here where it comes to, like, it seems like they're making buffs way harder to do, but they get same XP rewards. I already feel like jungle doesn't farm all that well, unless you just snowball super hard, which is true of literally any role ever. So unless they compensate somewhere, like given waves take longer to do as well, waves take long, I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm thinking too much on this. Because the waves take a lot longer. Honestly, it might matter more for the waves so far. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it feels in game, I think. Mana camp change, tiny XP reward boost, base health increase by a little bit. I'm going to try and speed through these a little bit more as long as it doesn't seem too big of a deal. Decreased XP reward per stack from 35 to 9? So blue buff has gone to absolute cheeks in terms of scaling. In all fairness, this is probably a very good change because blue buff is stupid. Blue buff gives you just the dumbest amount of XP for one of the easiest camps in the game. So this is probably a good change. I'm assuming they will not nerf it as hard for any of the other buffs. It's just blue buff dumb. So probably a good change for blue buff. It's crazy how much reward you get for such an easy camp. Yeah, other than that, it's mostly saying the same. Getting a little bit buffed in terms of damage, a little bit nerfed in terms of XP, and getting very barely buffed in terms of HP to kill it. So it's still going to be pretty easy to kill blue buff. Solo laners can still pretty reasonably do it on their own. It's just that clearing their own wave to do the blue is going to be a little tougher. Yellow buff, increased base health from 450 to 675. So not as big of a buff as red got, but still going to be a lot tankier. Prods stay similar, increased power a little bit, increased attack speed a decent amount, 25% boost the attack speed. Scaling, just like the others, a little bit of a decrease in XP scaling over time, so you're not getting quite as much farm later in the game, getting a lot more of an impact early. So basically, if you're falling behind, you're getting less reward from farming later in the game. Is it going to be how it tends to go? And it's going to just overall, like especially with the changes to health, overall people are going to level up a little slower right now. Like right now, the way it's looking, I'm guessing we'll see a lot more people hitting level 20 around 25, 26 minute mark reasonably. And like a faster time, I'm guessing is going to be like 23 minutes, which is not at all what it is right now. Normally in a normal competitive game, I feel like you want to be hitting level 20 around 22, 23 minutes. And then if you're ahead, you'll hit it faster. So like few minute lengthening, I think, on hitting level 20, which is actually a pretty big change. Purple buff, really big change to the HP on purple buff. Got even more buffed in terms of HP than speed did. A little boost to the power, a little boost to the prots. Yeah, again, similar changes to everything else. So dual lane, gonna have a harder time with that. With all these changes to, with purple getting longer time to kill and red getting longer time to kill, it's gonna be really important to know that jungle is gonna be more important in killing these side camps that mid or duo could often do on their own. Blue buff still seems similar, except for the fact that solo lane tends to have bad clear, so they might need help just because their clear is so bad that they're not gonna be able to get out of lane very easily. They're gonna spend a lot more time fighting in lane and getting clear in lane. So I think that jungle is going to need to rotate to these camps a lot more often and drop them for them, and maybe even drop them before they can leave lane. They might not be able to leave lane as easy. I think mid will tend to have enough clear, duo will tend to have enough clear that they can leave their lanes and they can split. Solo will have to see what happens there, which is part of why I think Golden Blade might become pretty strong. All right, support camp. Is this just what it is right now? I don't understand. Okay. I can't, they worded this one weird for me. I don't quite get it. It looks like they basically buffed the scaling so that early game it's pretty much exactly what it is at the moment, I think. Or maybe these are just completely new stats and I just have no clue what its stats currently are. I'm not sure. It does have the guards now, like they were talking about earlier. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care that much. It looks like it scales a decent amount and gets harder to kill over time, from what I can tell. Oracles, 20% boost to their base health, about 20% boost to their physical power, so they hit harder. Pretty big increase to scaling, 2 to 6 power increase for 3 minutes in-game time. So, like for instance, once we're just 9 minutes in, everybody's probably around level 10 or so. Instead of having what would be 29 physical power, they're gonna have what, 41, right? I think that's math. No, that's not math. Oh, I guess it would have been math if I was going off of this, but they're also getting the boost originally, so it's gonna be 46. So, pretty big boost to their power right there. Naga based XP reduced, gold reward reduced, health reduced. Okay, so these are actually easier to do now, which I guess makes sense because before they were kind of hard to do. So these are going to be more of like a normal camp, since they're replacing some of where the harpies used to be. Back harpies get a pretty big scaling boost. I'm kind of getting over this, boys. I'm starting to get skippy. I'm sure some of you guys are too. I'm sure some of you guys are literally skipping ahead in the video right now. All right, I'm over this shit. We're gonna go on. It seems like these changes are pretty minor in comparison. All right, towers and phoenixes. Oh boy, I'll read it. Oh my, I need a drink. Oh my god, so much reading. You guys see this bar right here? You guys, I think, can see it, even though I have my screen cropped a little bit. I think we're about halfway down these patch notes, so it's going to be a long vid, boys. And my throat's going to be a little dead by the end. All right. The ability to dive towers has been a common point of discussion in the community recently. We did increase their damage, but with the major changes to god health and protections, we needed to make sure we amped up towers significantly. Oh god. These changes are designed to make sure towers are more lethal than ever. Okay. Even with the buffed base stats of 9.5. This makes it noticeably harder to tower dive in the early game, which, unnecessary in my opinion. I think tower diving early is cool, but some other people disagree. That's okay. But makes it noticeably harder to tower dive in the early game and also makes it harder to siege bases, which will decrease the chance of a single team fight leading to the entire map being cleared. Okay, maybe they don't really mean that. I mean early game. I mean like level 5. I like being able to tank 3 shots and not get 100 to 0'd. I think tanking 4 shots to get 100 to 0 is a little better. But I don't know if that's really what they're quite changing here. Towers will not only be more lethal, but they'll also have more HP, including a significant buff to Titan HP. Ooh, Titan doesn't die in 10 seconds now, no matter what. Oh, baby. We also made jungle bosses considerably more lethal. They will also now deal physical and magical damage. Oh my god. You don't just get to abuse Fizzprot on every single thing in the game? That's crazy. You mean we actually can finally, after 10 years of Smite, have... It looks like they actually kept towers doing this the same, so that I only partially make my point here. We can finally make magic prot relevant outside of tanking gods, instead of have Fizzprot for literally everything else ever that might be PvE related? It's about time, boys. Add it to towers next. It would be cool. Make it so I don't just have to build 300 Fizzprot to tank my towers. Anyways, tier 1 tower, increased power scaling versus gods from 110% to 135%. That's a pretty big boost. Increased power scaling versus minions from 125 to 140, less of a boost. Added 30% pen to attacks, so tanks will definitely get shredded a lot harder by towers. Increased base health from 1750 to 2100. Tier 2 has similar scaling. Has almost exact same scaling. Decreased team gold reward. Ooh, that's actually pretty big. Right now there's a noticeable change between getting tier 2 and tier 1 in terms of farm. So the fact that tier 2 now gives less gold is pretty cool in my opinion, because I think tier 2s were too valuable while tier 1s are not particularly valuable. I don't care that tier 1s aren't that valuable. I actually think it ends up making the game a little more interesting, a little bit less tower push focused in the early game, which is good because it's cringe. But then tier 2s felt a little too like significantly strong for no good reason. So that's a good change. Increased power scaling on Phoenix versus gods from 100 to 135. These things are going to absolutely clap as if they didn't clap to begin with. increased power scaling versus minions from 115 to 140, added 30% bend, and buffed their health by 20%. Titan, 50% health boost, a little bit more actually, increased health gained per tower from 500 to 750, increased health gained per phoenix from 1500 to 2250. So these also get 50% boosts, and it's going to be a lot tankier from having these up. That's going to be a really big deal. But the biggest deal is just this. It's just the fact that it takes way longer to kill now. Are we not? Boys, dude, can we give Titan an ability? Can Titan not just be big minion, please? It's a big minion that hits a really... Why does Titan do so little in terms of attacks? I figured with the whole, hey, we're going to make Titan hard to kill thing, they'd give it at least one ability, man. Give it some cool erupt shit where it's like, bitch, I'm the Titan, and it just like nukes you a little bit. That'd be cool. But it's tanky, so yeah. It's tanky. That's what they did. It's tanky now. Increased scaling health on Gold Fury from 250 to 275. Increased base magical power, blah, 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 blah. Gold's a little bit stronger. And now deals magical damage. We kind of knew. They already said they were going to do that. So, wait. Oh, so the gold ability is magic, but the base attacks are physical. Okay. That's kind of cool. You can even min-max that a little bit, hypothetically. I don't know what the odds are that it matters. But if you have somebody that is specifically tanky against magic and not fizz, they can tank the ability and leash the autos. Maybe a cool thing, probably like never gets used ever because who builds specific defenses instead of just building defenses, right? But that's like maybe a thing that happens. Similar thing to Primal Fury, similar thing to Oni Fury. These are all called different burdens, but they're basically the same exact thing. Pyro got a little bit of a boost to base health. I'm assuming its ability is magic instead of fizz, but its ability sucks, so who cares? You can cancel it with like almost every character in the game, and even if you can't, it doesn't do that much, so that's a pretty minor change. The gold change is big. Pyro ability is just bad, and it's I'm not even shit talking the change. It's just Pyro ability sucks. I'm just shit talking Pyro. All right, everybody shit on Pyro. Fire Giant increased Fire Giant power scaling from 4 to 5 fizz or magic power per minute. Increased max fizz power or max 215 to 235. Okay, I don't know why it only says fizz, but who cares? This doesn't matter that much. Little bit FG boost to damage, not that big of a deal. All right. Assault, I don't care. Slash, I don't care. Joust, I don't care. And I think these are all similar changes. It looks like they're just buffing towers, basically. All right, big item changes, I am assuming. I do not know. I did not read remotely this far. I read like the first 5% of patch notes before I did this video. Decreased power on tier 2 shield from 20 to 15. I did not know it was 20. That's a good change. That's after all these recent nerfs, this is a little busted, so it's good to make it 15. Berserkers got nerfed even harder. Let's just make tanks suck, boys. It's time to make all the tanks bad. We want the solo lane to be... I'm not going to go where I was going to go. I probably shouldn't say what I was going to say. We're going to make solo lane bad, okay? That's a little more PG. Decrease 25 to 20, decrease 50 to 40. Berserkers is kind of cheeks at the moment. It already got nerfed real hard in the last patch. This is a big nerf. They're touching my shifters, which is not okay. Decrease power from 30 to 25, decrease power from 30 to 25 on passive. So it goes 60 total power to 50 total power when you're using the Chad stance. Not that you have control, but just when you're healthy. So 10 power nerf for the power, otherwise 5 power nerf to the other stance. So big nerf. Glad Shield sucked, but they decided to nerf it anyways. Void Shield sucked, but they decided to nerf it. Oh wait, this is Prots, not power. Still really big nerf. 10 Prot nerf on Void Shield. Runic Shield, decreased physical power from 35 to 30. I really don't get why they're still coming after these solo items. I think the nerfs were fat and very much made solo weaker than other roles. I think solo laners very much agree right now, given they're solo laners, so they're biased. I would say I'm not a solo laner. I've played it a lot recently. We've done it for like the past week on the channel. Very much feel like in terms of roles, I've been playing a lot of jungle and ADC up until the past week. And so I'm more biased towards ADC and assassin items in terms of feeling what a nerf would be like. And these nerfs have felt really unnecessary to me. Maybe that's just me. And I specifically mean these types of power hybrid items I feel like already weren't all that good for the most part. Berserkers a little while ago was nutty. Then the passive got reworked. It was still good. Then it got nerfed to shit over these past 2 patches. So Berserkers is a little more fair. But a lot of these I feel like they're already normally not good. It's just like if you want to be remotely capable of doing damage in solo, you build these items. Not that they're meta, you just build them because it's what they do. And then they're getting nerfed anyways. So I feel like that's pretty unnecessary. 35 to 30, 40 to 35. So getting these magic prot / damage items. CAD Shield does even less damage. This one's maybe okay. CAD Shields have been a pretty strong hybrid item, even though it's fun, so I kind of hate it, but this one maybe makes more sense. Big nerf to Frostbound, even though nobody builds it. Nerfing Runeforge, nerfing Sledge. Okay. I like to see this. Nerfing Celestial Legion Helm. It's a cringe item. That's good. Nerfing Lotus Crown. Nerfing Jade Emp real hard, which is good because it's dumb. Wait, they nerfed the power. Oh, this is a pretty weak nerf. This actually, Jade Emp is even more OP now, probably, because they're probably going to nerf so many other things that's going to stand out a lot. So that kind of sucks. Void Stone nerf. Probably fair at the moment, although I don't remember its passive might suck. I don't remember what its passive's at the moment. Stone of Foul nerf. Pretty minor nerf to Stone of Binding. Added 5% pen to Spell Focus, which is the T2 of Obsidian, and added 5% to Warrior's Bane, which is the T2 of Titan's Bane. Oh god. Boys, my throat, it's dying. Oh my god. We gotta get through this fast before I actually start croaking. In this update, we'll be introducing one of the largest sweeping balance changes in Smite history. Most of the dev notes will be below in a more long-form discussion on the specifics. Please tell me I don't have to read these, and that's part of why this looks so long right now. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Every single god in Smite will... okay. Every single god in Smite will receive the following changes. Okay. Increased base HP by 40%. Increased base HP per level by 5%. Increased base physical protection by 40%. Increased physical protection per level by 8%. Okay. Increased base magic prop by 28%. Increased magic prop per level by 28%. Okay. So basically what this is going to do, obviously everybody gets way tankier, at least unless they're going to make damage changes as well. This is crazy, by the way. This is absolutely wild. Unless they make more changes, this means people don't kill each other at like level 1 or level 2. It's just like not a thing that happens unless you try really, really hard. And they're just like, fuck it, let's fight. So I'm honestly, I like going bold Hi-Rez. I do. I think this looks a little shit for early game fighting. So I'm currently not a fan. I'm not going to lie. But maybe, and I'm okay with this, as long as if it turns out like a little bit shitty, like I think it's going to be, I think fighting levels 1 through 3 is now cringe. A more vocal way, what's the word I'm looking for? A better explanation than just saying cringe because I'm a zoomer is, I think fighting now between level 1 and level 3, because of this massive base HP boost, it's going to have such a longer time to kill on everybody ever that it's mostly just going to be a waste of time and we should all go our separate ways and farm. And if you guys have played Smite for very long, you know that the most recent history or the most standout in history moments of Smite where it went to, hey, let's not fight, let's go farm because that's meta, was Season 3 and Season 4, which were the worst seasons Smite has ever had. So I'm a little bit scared by this, but maybe I'm overthinking and it's not as big of a deal. And they're making some big changes. And if they are willing to undo some of these changes and make big reverts so that it's not quite as extreme, I don't give a shit. If they troll the game a little bit for 2 weeks or 4 weeks and then they fix it because they're trying things and they want to make the game better, I don't really care. My opinion, okay? I just want to get that out there. I really like that they're bold enough to do all this stuff because this actually is really big change. And the stuff they've done so far has been pretty big too. But this is like a crazy change right here. They've never done anything remotely like this. So I think it's cool that they're willing to do it. I think it might be kind of wrong. But if they're willing to undo it, if it is wrong, then it's fine. Okay, I'm done. This section will describe the min and max changes for each of these shifts across the God roster switchies. Okay, so, I thought this was going to be really long. We'll actually read it, I guess. Wait, what? Okay, I see. So basically, based on the God you're playing, at level 1, you'll have somewhere between 145 and 209 more health. Big deal. Normally at level 1, especially after the recent nerfs to tier 1 items and starter items, I feel like ADCs, if they're not fighting a tank, tend to be doing, I think, 60 auto damage-ish, whereas I feel like before they could do up to 70. So I think right now they're doing 60 as far as I can remember. It's around there. Or like one thing I've been playing a lot of Neath Jungle over the past 2 days, which we might do a video on very soon. I think my autos with mannequins tends to do like 53 and then mannequin proc. So if we're having a different item that's harder than mannequins, we should be doing something between like 57 and 61 or something like that. I could be tripping. I think we're hitting about that hard. So if our autos for 60 damage on an ADC are getting affected by 209 health buff or somewhere between this 145 and 209, we will have to auto 2 to 4 more times, normally 3 more times to kill somebody in a fight, which typically means 3 seconds longer of landing autos. If you miss some autos, anywhere from like 3 to 6, assuming your aim is remotely decent, which is a big time to kill shift in the early game. You know, maybe an extra ability or something in there too, but like that's actually a really big change. And then level 20, 200, and 300, which is not nearly as big of a change, which is why I've been focused on like, this is all base HP. The actual scaling change is significantly smaller. So I think the big thing is I'm a little bit worried about how slow it is to kill people early game. Late game, I don't think it matters that much. Actually, I'm a little worried for some assassins. I think some assassins get omega fucked by this. By this, 200 to 300 HP means you don't one-shot on some characters. That's only some. I don't really care that much, but they might have to do some balance changes to compensate, which they probably will. These parts don't matter all that much in terms of Fizz Prot. The Fizz Prot change is pretty minimal. The Magic Prot change matters a lot more because Magic Prot is something you get very little of naturally. So basically, they're making it so that you get more effectively similar amounts naturally than you currently do. So a little bit more of like compensation in Magic Prot so that it feels like less of a swing. Because a lot of the time at the moment, you'll have stuff where it's like you build literally 0 defense, you get 70 Fizz Prot just from existing as a character at level 20. You get 30 Magic Prot, or like between 30 and 40 for existing as a character. And obviously, being like an entire items difference from just natural scaling is a big deal. So they're trying to change that a little bit. Only a little bit, not completely. All right, I got more reading. Hang on. Wait, are we good? Do I have to read this? I might need to read this. God damn it. Future updates after 9.5 will absolutely focus priorities towards adjusting any unwanted side effects. Okay, that's good. They're already saying, hey, this might go bad. We will try and fix this if it does go bad. Internal testing can only get us so far, but we feel strongly this will have a positive impact on all types of Smite gameplay. Why are we making this change? The core goal is to increase the time to kill in Smite. We want to decrease the chances that a player will die from most combat scenarios. Okay, I think I'm reading this different than they mean it. I feel like never mind. I think it's funny the way they worded this. And we want to address this even more heavily in the early game to counteract the snowball effect an early death can have, which is good. I feel like there's a lot of stuff right now where it's like, I made an oopsie. I thought I did a little more damage, or I thought I would take a little less damage, and I just fucking died from making this minor play because it's so easy to get collapsed on and killed early game. So I think that's cool. I'm still a little worried about just the effectiveness of fighting early game, but we'll have to see. Like I'm picturing right now trying to gank at level 2. Let's say like they talked about how like do buff, do wave, get level 2. Imagine ganking right now at level 2. Somebody just has a big chunk of health. A lot of the time it's already kind of hard to get kills. Now it's like, I never get a kill ever, I go farm. So we'll have to see how that affects the game. I think it's going to make it way harder to gank early game and way more focused on like, this guy is crazy out of position. This guy is really low from fighting in lane, which is maybe good, but it's not going to affect the same way later in the game. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see on that. 9.4 did a lot of good in shifting God win rates around. Yep, it did. It definitely mixed stuff up quite a bit. 9.4 was good. Was it 9.4? I don't remember. The last 2 updates have been good for the game, I think, my opinion. Why do it in this way? One goal is change was to make sure it affects all game modes of Smite. I don't care, but that's fine. I only care about Conquest and only Conquest. Increasing defensive stats instead of nerfing damage. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. Base stat buffs can be applied uniformly and fairly across all roles using percentages, blah, blah, blah. Trying to see, I don't want to miss anything that's important. I mean, I know this is just them describing why they're doing this, and I think it's important they describe why they do this, but like a lot of it's just obvious, right? Let's see. Make sure the early game feels noticeably different. The current numbers split the gain in stats nearly 50-50 between level 1 and levels 2 to 20. Putting more of these stats at level 1 also decreases the advantage gained by a level lead. That's fair. That's fair. That's already part of what I've been thinking about, but it is cool that they actually specifically bring that up because it stands out so much, man. So if they're trying to, I guess one of the things they're going after is making it so you don't just get deleted because, hey, I hit level 2 or hey, I hit level 3 and now get dumpstered by my bonus ability, which happens a lot. And it's happened less the past 2 patches, but it's happened a lot just in general, like the past 2 seasons, even though I think Season 8 was really good and Season 9's been okay. Yeah. We hope this won't look or feel like power creep since it is quite literally game-wide and uniform. Power creep? What? How is... Everybody gets fucked. How is how is this power creep? This is like power melt, which is fine, but it's like, I don't know. I guess, you know, Twitch chat's going to Twitch chat, Reddit's going to Reddit, YouTube comments are going to YouTube comment. I guess some people will say stuff like that. This is like, this, you know, I feel like anything slowing down time to kill never feels like power creep, right? In my opinion, that's probably just because I actually know what I'm talking about, right? This could potentially buff basic attackers because they're less limited by specific kill thresholds that are driven by cooldowns. True. Kind of literally a little bit what we talked about in terms of ADC duels earlier, right? Where like that auto attack difference is going to matter a lot because cooldowns are significantly limited. So those autos, squeezing those in, like you might get another ability, you definitely will get more autos. But this could buff healers because of longer fights and slower time to kill. However, that might not matter because healers get hard fucked. By the way, speaking of which, while we are talking about patch notes, boys, if we could get, I think basically everybody in existence agrees on this. I could be wrong because I think they either don't care or they agree. If we could finally get a change to healing so that yes, healing is not OP and does not define the meta, but you do not have to play around this dumbass out of combat anti-heal debuff that you get after 3 seconds and you can get while you're still effectively in combat. You're just not technically in combat. And that nerfs a bunch of heals that weren't even meant to be nerfed by it. If we could get a better healing change where like they're making all these bold changes that they're trying to specifically apply globally because they don't want to go in crazy hard one by one. If Hi-Rez was willing to actually go in one by one on healers and make it so that self heals are similar but maybe nerfed, and that AoE heals are specifically getting nerfed in the AoE aspect so that Ra can heal a ton in his heal, or maybe can heal a teammate a ton in his heal, but cannot heal everybody in his heal really hard. And same for like Hell 3 and Guan 1 and how many heals are there that are like, I don't know, big AoE heals? Just nerf the AoE aspect, keep the single target heals similar to how they were before the out of combat anti-heal debuff, remove the debuff because it's stupid. I feel like Smite will be in such a better place, man. I honestly don't even think it takes that much work. They can be wrong with the numbers. They're like always wrong with the numbers in terms of perfect balance with one update. But just trying to do that, I think would be so good. Because they're specifically talking about how this could buff healers. And it's like, dude, healers feel so bad to play at the moment. Because even if you get in spots where they are like hypothetically good, I hate that I have to juggle on every single person with healing in the game if I'm out of combat or not to literally min-max my healing. It's so stupid. It makes no sense. Like, that's something I do so often with, like, Tyr or Baka right now in solo or in jungle, is like, oh, I'm going to heal cleave or I'm going to eat minion, and I will specifically eat a little bit of damage from the other god before I eat the minion or before I heal cleave, because it's a massive boost, which I've talked about in different games, and I'm going to stop the rant here, but, like, that's dumb. I should not take damage on purpose to heal more. If they wanted to change that, since they're making big updates, it would be good for the game, okay? I don't even really play healers. It's just, I never cared that much about healing meta. It's just like, it's just true. Like there's not that much. It's just true. It's just a dumb debuff. Yeah. Anyways, I don't think we need to read this part. How we arrive at these numbers. I don't care how you arrived at these numbers. Application, blah, blah, blah. I don't think this matters. All right. Gods. Loki's laugh has been removed as an audio cue because it was dumb as hell, and now Loki is OP. Okay, this is a big change, and I'm actually not kidding. Loki mains rejoice. It is probably now easier to play Loki, and I will probably hate playing him a little bit less because, yeah, if you aren't listening to music, or if you don't have some random sounds pop up from anything you might be listening to, like Discord or just in-game or whatever, that cloaks Loki's laugh noise, you can literally hear it for almost the entire duration of his invis, at least on some skins, at least on the skins I play. I think there's one or two that are like massive Loki buffs for having, because I think it doesn't, but I could be wrong. So I don't know what the new noise is going to be, but like, that's good, right? That's good. So that's a change for him. Dude, these patch notes are too long. It's going to be so hard for me to go back, and I might not put anything in these patch notes ever in terms of editing it over from Smite, because oh my god, it'll be annoying to go through this video and be like trying to find the points to put them in. I'll probably do it anyways, but god damn it, future me, for having to deal with this. Basic attack on Serket's, the third basic attack for Serket's basic attack chain now cleaves. Okay, I don't know why, but that's sure. It makes sense with the anime. It's fine. It makes sense with the animation. Decreased cooldown on Cobra's Kiss from 16 to 14. That's a really big buff. Decreased pre-fire animation time. Oh, thank you. From 0.2 to 0.1 on last breath. Pre-fire animations are so annoying on a lot of characters. Basically, like what this means for you guys that don't know what this means is when you start to circuit ult, there's a little bit of animation before the ult actually applies and before it lands. And during that, you can get CC'd in a variety of ways. And generally the way this works with Smite, because servers aren't, even if servers aren't being dumb in general, servers aren't perfect, right? It can get a little glitchy. You can get some animation glitch where it's like, I ulted, wait, I didn't ult, wait, I'm dying. Oh God, let me get my ult off. Oh no, now I'm 10 HP while I ult. The ult goes off, but I'm dead. Or maybe I never get the ult off. And that's true for different abilities and different things. In general, unless it's an ability that should have a long pre-fire animation time, this feels good for the game because it's triggering as hell when you get screwed by this, when this number is bigger and it messes you up. So I like that. Increased base stun duration on Tectonic Rift from 1 to 1.2. The rest of it stays the same, or well, it scales up to the same number eventually. Increased base damage on Anvil of Dawn from 100 to 300 to 100 to 360. So, okay, little Thor buff. I mean, honestly, the Tectonic Rift buff is big. I don't think this one matters all that much because Thor ult scales so hard that like this isn't going to stand out all that much. Increased poison bonus damage from 30 to 40% on Rising Jaguar. Okay, Shiba buff coming in. Decreased mana cost on, I believe this is Rama 2. It's definitely Rama 2. From 60 to 80 to 40 to 60, which is big because this ability costs way too much mana for like all of Smite's history. And then 30 to 50% attack speed goes to 40 to 60% attack speed. So big attack speed buff to Rama 2, big mana cost buff to his 2 as well. And a similar mana cost buff to his 3. So that's nice. Nausea buff? It's cringe. God damn it, dude. I got so excited. I was like, they buffed the ult. They buffed the ult. I knew they someday Hi-Rez would. They didn't listen. They didn't listen. They made Nausea more of a support again. This god relies heavily on one-shot wombo combos and often struggles if those combos don't pan out. This god also tends to struggle from the fact that you cannot one-shot wombo combo because we nerfed crit and we nerfed Nausea ult and we completely ignored the fact that we did those together. Nausea has a little known feature that protects him after landing if he successfully ults someone, which we're buffing in this update to help him continue fighting even when the kill isn't guaranteed. Nausea gets a prot boost to his ult prots that he gets after landing. Inserted the time before losing, increase the time before losing passive stacks from 10 to 12. Little bit of a Nausea passive buff, which they might have only thought of because they just had to fix Nausea passive because it was breaking the game. And little Nausea ult buff in the most boring way imaginable. So Nausea got buffed. I could give a shit. Decreased cooldown on Earthbreaker from Herc, which is his 2, from 14 to 14 to 12. So at max rank, this ability goes off a lot more often, and Herc gets a lot more scary. That's a pretty big buff. Force of Nature, Terra's Dash, I think. Decreased cooldown from 15 to 13. Decreased mana cost on her 3 from 60 to 100 to 60 to 80. Okay. Ooh. This is spicy. This is awfully spicy. Sylve passive. Increased cooldown reduction provided by picking up seeds from 0.25 to 0.5. You boys feel like doing some cooldown cheese on Sylve? Because we might be doing it. It's really not all that good, but we might be doing it because it got buffed by a lot. So maybe a thing. I think it's overall still not going to have the biggest impact, but it might be good. You might actually see it matter a little more sometimes now. Baba Brew gets to get spammed more often, so that'll be a fun time. Increased physical power scaling from 60 to 70% on Pyro class because Pele is cheeks, so they buffed her a little bit, but she will still be cheeks, but it's still an okay buff. Decreased magic protection debuff from 10 to 30% to 10. Oh, decreased. I think I literally said that, but I still read it as increased. 10 to 30% to 10 to 20% on ESET 3 because it was a little dumb. Should be fine. Should be fine. Yeah. Little pretty small nerf to ESET, but like situationally pretty nice, I think, change because she feels kind of strong at the moment. Gilg. They're nerfing him again, boys. They made his kit too strong. They put in a dry bear character where the god simply has too much. Actually, that doesn't stand out anymore. There's like one dry bear character that gets played anymore. Some of you guys probably don't know who dry bear is anymore. Gilgamesh, decreased physical power scaling of kick damage from 40 to 30%, decreased physical power scaling of burst damage from 40 to 30%. So big scaling nerf overall to Guild Kick. 20% when you're landing it the way you want to. Heroes Advance decreased movement speed from 25 to 35 to just 25, which is a good change because this was kind of stupid. Yeah, another Guild nerf. Will it matter that much? Nope, because people mostly play him because of his kit and just the way that it is, but it is still a nerf, and it is still nerfs that will do things, so it'll matter some. He's still going to be Gilg, so don't worry about it that much because he's already been nerfed 10 times. So this is like nothing in the grand scheme of things. He hasn't been nerfed literally 10 times. I don't know how many it's been, but like it's a lot, man. It's a lot. He does potato damage compared to what he used to, but his kit is still strong, so his kit still gets played, you know? I don't remember what RDO passive is, but it decreased max stacks from 8 to 6. Literally. Oh, it's move speed and MP5. Now I remember what it is. So you get less move speed, you get less MP5. I don't know if it matters that much. Increased cooldown of both forms of Maul Prey, which is her 1, maybe. Increased cooldown from whatever ability this is from 12 to 15 to 13. Decreased base damage of Maul Prey from 40 to 160 to 30 to 155 per hit. Hits 2 times, which means it's her 1. So, RDO gets to 1 way less often, especially early game. 3-second increase, which is crazy. Hi-Rez actually never makes this big of a nerf in the early game. I literally cannot remember the last time it's been 3 instead of like 2 or 1. So that's actually a really big early nerf. Overall, ends up being late game, only a 1-second change, but that's a pretty big change. Kleena nerfs, but she's so balanced. Increased cooldown from 50 to 60 per charge of her ult. Decreased base rift damage. From 80 to 240 to 60 to 200 per tick. That's a really big base damage nerf to Kleena ult. And obviously a big cooldown nerf as well. So that's actually a really big Kleena nerf. We'll see how that matters. A lot of why Kleena feels strong is her base kit, not even her ult. Her ult is still capable of being a lot, but her base kit's so much more reliable than her ult. It's a lot more easy to just miss your ult, whereas generally you're going to hit her dash, hit her 2, hit her 1, as long as you play her decent. So this will matter, but she might still be pretty strong, even though it's a pretty big nerf. Chain Lightning increased cooldown from 10 to 12. That's going to suck to be a Zeus player, because you do like to spam this thing. Decreased move speed on his 2 from 20 to 30 to 15 to 25%. Decreased the attack speed from 20 to 40 to 15 to 35. So a little bit of Zeus nerf. Decent amount here. Not as big of a deal here, but it's also going to matter somewhat. We are through. My throat is saved. Pog. I guess we should wrap it up, even though I really don't want to talk anymore. Overall, good patch notes. Okay, good patch notes. Some of the changes are scary. I don't care. At least they're big. Normally, when it's the real scary changes are when they are small, get fucked changes, and these are global, maybe everybody gets fucked changes, which I think are way better. Because it's more ambitious, okay? It's more ambitious, and it's less like ADC now sucks, or jungle now sucks, right? It's less of that. So overall thoughts, jungle clear and wave clear is so jungle clear and lane clear, like everybody in the game that clears anything ever, significantly slowed down by bigger buff health bars and bigger front minion health bars. Line clear is less of an OP ability now compared to before, because before it very much was, I'm raw, I have a 1, I throw the 1, the wave dies, I go do other stuff. I just go off and do other stuff. I am done. And now it's going to be, I'm raw, I won the wave, the archers die, the front creeps don't remotely die, unless I'm very late in the game. And now I have to maybe 3 or maybe 2 the front creeps and not just do a little tag and then dip, but actually properly clear them and then dip and then also auto some. So, and it doesn't have to, Raw's just a decent example because his other clear abilities specifically are going to tend to hit fronts, but not the backs. So clear that way is going to tend to be a lot more noticeable. And gods that tend to have one clear ability, but not other good clear abilities are going to get super screwed because they're going to take way longer on the front creeps now. Trying to think what else. Characters like Uller probably get a little bit of a buff because maybe specifically Uller. How many other people do this? I'm thinking in my head, like Uller, when you're a little later in the game, when you're like level 9, level 10, won the wave, archers die to your 1, 3 the front creeps die to your 3, go clap the other ADC's cheeks because there's no way they cleared the wave that fast. I can think of a single ADC other than like Iza that would be clearing it that fast with their abilities. So there are going to be some specific changes that way where some people stand out a lot. That's probably fine because it's just such a big ambitious change to begin with. Other than that, jungle change, side suck, big minion strong, single target damage now stronger than jungle. I think that's overall pretty good. That's actually going to help out a lot for characters like Bakasura and Arachne, who tend to be good for pub stomping, but bad for competitive play. And it's going to make them stand out more in competitive play because they get a farm advantage over other junglers. However, they're probably going to be absurdly cringe for pub stomping because they're going to have such a big farm advantage now because normally junglers use ability-based clear. Those are a couple examples of characters that use auto-attack-based clear, which is going to now be buffed just because auto-attacks are single target, and, you know, single target damage is now more important for at least some of the jungle camps. At least most of the jungle camps. So that's something to consider. Towers got buffed. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Early game fighting, not going to be as big of a deal as it was before. It's going to be a lot less common, I think. You're going to have to prioritize a lot more clearing wave in most lanes, which is going to lead to, I think, more of a brawl in the wave meta for lanes like solo lane, and less of just a clear it and then fight type of meta, which is fun. I think that always makes solo lane more fun. However, certain matchups are probably going to feel really painful, where it's going to feel like you are physically incapable of clearing the wave without getting farmed. In that matchup, you just don't have enough clear, so you have to go dip under tower and stay under tower, and that makes lane boring. And because the clear is slow to begin with and you can't dive towers because they just got buffed, some characters will be like, I pushed you under tower, now I sit here and stare at you menacingly while you're under that tower, and you remember who's the fucking man, and that's going to be like it. You don't get to do shit, because you don't get to dive because tower's OP, you don't get a farm because farm takes forever, and clearing takes forever, so solo lane will get situationally super boring, I think. Sometimes very fun, is my guess. Jungle is going to have slower clear times. Other lanes get to rotate to farm less, which means jungle gets to do more of the camps on their own, or at least do most of the work on their own and then split a little bit towards the end. Jungle probably gets kind of screwed on farm because of that, but we'll have to see if people are still trying to split super hard or not. If they don't try and split, jungle is probably fine. Are we good? Support gets to play support and just laugh at all the peasants. Support already gets fucked on clear. Support just normally, at least when you get like remotely competitive, I think just generally through Smite though, support doesn't tend to care about clear that much. So I think kind of support buff this patch. So Pog for support mains, because that role always sucks to play. We're good. I think that kind of sums things up. Item changes were pretty small. Character god changes were pretty small. But oh, well, I guess we can do a little final touch up on the whole. The early game fighting with the base HP change. I think there's going to be a lot more of a focus because of the base HP change plus the minion change / jungle change. I think generally farm will take longer to do, kills will take longer to kill, so you'll tend to focus more on just getting your farm done and less on killing anybody that you might be able to kill. So yeah, be aware of that. That's almost guaranteed going to be a big change right there. It's going to stand out like a lot less how much early kills are possible and how much they impact the game because you have to commit so much harder for them. Yeah, I think that basically does it, boys. Good patch notes, hour-long video, nice. Does my hand look weird? It looks weird in OBS. I don't know if it looks weird on the screen or not. Looks all green and shit. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the patch notes. If you did, let me know. If you want more patch notes, let me know. This video is way more work than I thought it would be. I thought this would be 30 minutes and then it would just be like, hey, let's do a patch notes video. And now I regret it because I feel like a teacher that's been teaching for weeks and my throat is just starting to die, even though it's just an hour and I'm just a spoiled baby. Yeah, basically, if you guys want more patch notes, let me know. If you guys want more face cam, don't let me know. I don't really care. I'm not going to lie. I did face cam because it's patch notes, so it's fair. We will maybe get face cam on Twitch for those of you guys who have been watching Twitch recently since I've been streaming there a lot more. But I've already said that on stream. It's just like I might start streaming with face cam some. I'm not going to do it for videos. I think videos are better without it, my opinion. And it's my channel, which means that's how it goes. Yeah, basically, if you like the patch notes video, let me know. And if you want more patch notes coming soon, more patch notes videos for the patches that are coming soon, let me know. Anything that looks remotely small, I will probably not do a patch notes video on. This was a very big patch notes, which is why I even considered doing it to begin with. And it seems like it's worth, because, oh my god, this patch is way bigger than I thought it would be. So, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you all in the next one.
I've been seeking for the glory. Say my name. And I've been trying to write my own story in the search for fame. I'm sitting here in this empty room. Walls keep tumbling down.